Hello, welcome to another edition of Crop Life Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of Crop Life and Crop Life Iron magazines. Here again with Lara Sowinski. Laura, how you doing today?
I'm really well. Thank you. Nice day
Good.
outside. So
Yeah.
looking up,
Way, so I didn't bring one of mine. So
got my hat on. Yeah, you kind of really have to. There would be some major alterations on your part in order to be. in order.
well, I could say I'm a supporter of women in ag tech if I was wearing the hat. So
You're right.
people would have to take my word for that, I guess. But that's okay. That's fine. I do love the hat.
Thank you.
I know you've worn it on several videos, and of course, we've got an event coming up in January, the second one for women in ag tech. So I know you're looking forward to that, working on the agenda, and
Nope.
I'm sure in a future video here in the next week or two, you'll have some information to share on that, and also our Vision conference coming up as well. So
For sure. For sure. Yeah, we're firming up the programs for both Vision and Women in Ag Tech, which, as you mentioned, will be co-located with Vision, January 22nd in Glendale, Arizona. So check out thevisionconference.com and you'll see a link to Women in Ag Tech agenda on Monday the 22nd. But yeah, you're right. I'll have more news to share in the next week or so as we get things wrapped up, and I'll go into full promotion mode, if you will.
sounds good. Some of us will be thinking turkey. You'll be thinking Vision and women in ag tech. That's okay. I get where the priorities lie.
Exactly. You said it.
Well, hey, to share some information with our viewers, again, I don't know if they might remember, but back during the summer, one of our events, our sister publication, Agribusiness Global, held its annual trade summit. And during that event, we had some video discussions with folks in the industry. And one of the rumors that was going around at the time was Bayer, involved Bayer. The rumor was that Bayer was considering perhaps splitting up its company into 3 different entities, and got a little more news on that this week. Bill Anderson is the new CEO at Bayer, and basically he said that they are still considering perhaps breaking up Bayer, which right now consists of agriculture, prescription drugs, and consumer health care as their 3 different groups. And perhaps maybe they may split into 3 companies. He does say that the split, if it happens, won't be all at once, but it's still being considered. One other thing in this article is interesting is that the agricultural group contributes 50% of Bayer's income to the company. So it is the big fish in the pond for the group. I wouldn't have thought that necessarily, but I guess it's true. But before that happens, Bill Anderson mentioned that, as he put it, between him and the consumer, there are, quote unquote, 12 layers of management currently at Bayer as a company. And he says that's too many. So basically, it sounds like what's going to happen first is the company will streamline its internal operations, perhaps get rid of a few of those layers, and then it will consider a possible split of the company. But again, we'll have to keep an eye on Bayer as we go through the rest of 23 and into 24. It sounds like if anything happens here, it'll probably be, I would guess, maybe summer of next year before we hear anything definitive.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, no, that's good news. And yeah, I'm surprised too. 50%. Wow. The company.
That's what the article said. Yeah, agriculture 50%. So.
It's great. Yeah. Good news. Good news.
Yeah, so one other bit of good news to share with our viewers, and if you read the e-newsletter for Crop Life this week, you'll know a little bit of what I'm talking about. The 8th Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled that the EPA was wrong when it banned chlorpyrifos from the marketplace, an insecticide that's used in crops. And basically they said that the agency hadn't followed its own sound science and ruled in favor of growers and grower associations that had brought the lawsuit originally. And according to the American Farm Bureau Federation president, named Zippy Duvall, love that name, Zippy Duvall, He basically said today's decision sends a message to EPA that it too must use sound science when drafting its rules. So again, that insecticide will continue to be used in the marketplace, be available for growers going into 24, and obviously, the soybean folks are extremely happy about that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. I was, kind of surprised a little bit, but certainly great news. Good development. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. So I was just talking growers. I guess you have some grower news to share as well. So take it away, Miss Laura.
yeah, I really do enjoy every month the latest results of the Purdue and CME Group economy, ag economy barometer. I really find actually when I read this month's and when I say this month, this just came out for October. Excuse me. I know we were talking recently about the findings of your Crop Life 100 survey and just the general sentiment that things are maybe a little more brighter. Growers have and ag retail folks have a better feeling about next year than maybe we thought a couple months ago. So that uh, this latest report kind of correlates with that. So the Ag Economy Barometer Index rose 4 points in October to a reading of 110. Farmers improved perspective on current conditions on farms, as well as their expectations for the future, were cited as reasons for the uptick. James Minert, he's the director of Purdue's Center for Commercial Agriculture, said that, quote, farmers in this month's survey were slightly less concerned about the risk of lower prices for crops and livestock and felt somewhat better about their farm's financial situation than a month earlier. He also mentioned that reports of higher than expected corn and soybean yields in some Corn Belt locations, along with the modest rally in corn prices, likely contributed to this month's rise in the financial conditions and the barometer in indices. So, I like this report. Like I said, they really kind of take a deep dive in various aspects of what comprises, why are people feeling better? And one thing that I wanted to share with our audience as well, part of what they were polling for the respondents, and this item, dry weather this past spring and summer, has prompted some discussions among producers about shifts in long-term weather patterns. This month's survey asked corn and soybean producers if they have explicitly made any changes in their farming operation in response to changes in long-term weather patterns in their area. So this was interesting to me. It says nearly 1 out of 4 corn and soybean farmers, 24% to be exact, in the October survey indicated that they implemented changes in their farm operations to better deal with changes in the weather. So my question was, okay, so what are they alluding to? What did they change? So here's a whole host of things, and it was kind of, as mentioned, they cited a broad mix of technologies and capital investments to adapt to changing weather patterns, including increased use of no-till. 25% of respondents mentioned that. We changed our mix of crops that we planted. 23% said that. Planted more drought-resistant varieties. 20%. Installed tile drainage. 9%. And installed irrigation. Also 9%. So that was kind of cool to see, what exactly. Okay, yeah, we recognize things are changing, so what are we doing about it? So,
Yeah,
love this.
interesting. Yeah, I know. You mentioned the Crop Life 100 earlier. I know one of the things folks always, the key concerns going into the upcoming growing season. They talk about the usual industry things we've heard before, prices and labor issues. But weather comes up quite often as well. It's the one thing that, as many folks have pointed out to me over the years, that the growers and retailers have no control over. So they are at the mercy of weather and Mother Nature, and they have to deal with it as it comes their way. So interesting that some of their practices are changing because of the way weather has in the recent years.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yep. Good.
All right. Well, hey, one other thing I have to share with our viewers and you before we dive into our trivia question for the day. I actually ran across this. This was a survey from our friends at the National Agricultural Aviation Association, NAAA. They were doing a survey of their members and aerial applicators, and they had one graph in there that I thought was kind of interesting. They wanted to know what percentage of the aerial application work was performed via crop input type. And in 2023, Laura, any guess what you think might be the most popular category for aerial application taking place in fields?
You mean aside from drones?
Yeah, no. Not drones. Think airplanes.
Oh.
This isn't drones. That's a bad word to the airplane guys.
Okay.
Trust
me. No. What?
No? Okay. Well, I'll let you in on, and then 23%, according to these guys, 23% of them applied a fungicide insecticide mix. That was the number one application they were putting into the fields.
Yeah.
Second place was 17% was just straight fungicides. Third place, herbicides, straight herbicides, 15%, straight insecticides, 13%, and then straight fertilizer, 9%. And then everything else was kind of lumped into that other 0.25% that's missing. I thought it was interesting that almost a quarter, 23%, it was a fungicide insecticide mix that was being applied to fields by aerial applicators this year. So,
what was the previous like? Why did this stand out for you?
Well, what stood out for me, of course, is I've heard for years that aerial application was always used mostly for fungicide applications more than anything else.
More than herbicide.
Obviously, insect resistance has been on the rise in the last couple of years. So obviously, if you can apply and try to control weeds and diseases, pests and diseases in the same application pass, then it sounds like that's what a lot of growers are having their aerial applicators do for them, which is interesting. All right. Well, Miss Laura, time for your favorite segment of the show. Time for Fun with Numbers.
You asked me something about like drones versus fixed wing versus helicopter.
You're not going to be that lucky. So you're going to want to write this one down because it's a dollar amount, okay?
Okay. I always write.
Your amount is $13.54. So $13.54. $13.54.
Look, you're killing me already. I feel like when I was like in fourth grade and we had to do this problems and the teacher would say, your number is $13. And I was like, no. And I'm on a train going 54 miles an hour.
Yeah. I promise, cross my heart, I promise this is not a story problem. I used to hate those myself.
All right.
Okay, so you have four choices, as always. So, Miss Laura, is $13.54. Is that A, the estimated cost increase of soybeans per bushel without the use of chlorphos? Is it B, the stock price decrease for Bayer after the announcement was made of a possible split? Is it C, the closing price of soybeans per bushel for January 2024 delivery? Or is it D, what my son charged me per wheelbarrow of leaves this past weekend?
What do you mean? Charge you to do what? To move like the
$13.54 for every wheelbarrow you move from the backyard to the front yard. He's an entrepreneurial guy, and he knows when he's got me and when I'm desperate and tired. So the price kept inflating. So
Does he accept Apple Pay or is it like Venmo or?
no, he's a hard cash guy. Trust me.
Okay. Well, at this point, I probably know more about stock prices and where the market's going than I do about a bushel of soybeans. I'm going to go with B, the stock price. Either you always do this when I miss it. It's like, do I have to tell her again?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. No, I mean, Bayer's stock price went up initially when they talked about the split, but then after they mentioned the fact that they might start, streamlining their workforce, it came back down.
Sure.
So, but it wasn't. It didn't move nearly $13.54. No, the correct answer this week is C.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was an item that I ran across where they were talking about January soybeans had closed up 25 3/4 to $13.54 per bushel. And that was for January. And that they mentioned was the highest price for soybeans that had been achieved since the middle of September. So, soybeans, I guess, are on the rise versus some of the other commodities. So if the growers are harvesting soybeans here in the fall for January delivery, it looks like they're going to get a good price for it, $13.54 per bushel. Well, that's all we have for this edition of Crop Life Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj on behalf of myself and everyone here at Crop Life. Hope you have a good week, and we'll see you again real soon. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.